So talking about then like me taking the air out of your balloon for that excitement, there are like limits on what we can do with that idea. So time limits, 3 minutes or less for a group. If you have a line or a production, which you have a production, so I think it's 4 minutes for a production. So I will get that exactly because it's different at different competitions. But for small groups and large groups as a whole, it is 3 minutes or under. For YAGP solos, it is 2 minutes and 30 seconds or under. For any competition solo, it's 2 minutes and 45 seconds or under. So if you have a kid who is competing at YAGP and in towns, there's needs to be 2:30 or less. And like it's so not messing around that it will not let me upload the music to YAGP's website if it is like 2:31. Kate and I ran into that, didn't we, Kate? Yep, we tried. So, and then nothing less than 2 minutes. You know, you don't want it to be like a minute and 30 seconds because you're showcasing. I do want to leave them wanting more. I do want to not, I'll kind of get into this a little bit later, but like we don't want to show what we can't do, you know, so you don't want to start throwing in things that don't look good. But at the same time, like if the limit is 3 and you're hitting a minute and 30 seconds, that's half of the time that you have to show that other people are taking advantage of that you're not. So I feel like sometimes, especially hip hop, ends up being a little bit shorter than others. I can have like a really strange contemporary that is really slow in beat and it can feel fast and it's 3 minutes long. And you watch a hip hop number and it feels so fast, but it's 2 minutes and 15 seconds and the kids are dying. So there can be like depending on the style and how slow the music is, you know, if you cut a really slow song at 2 minutes and 5 seconds, it's going to feel like it's like that. So, I think that 2:30 is usually a good range or, around in there for solos and for like little kids dances. And then kind of up from there for older kids dances. But again, it depends, like how many kids do you have? Are they going in groups? Are you trying to tell a story? Like all of that kind of factors into it. If it is 3 solid minutes of 7-year-olds tap dancing with no music, like that's going to feel like a really long 3 minutes, really long. Yes. We're going to do an a cappella 7-year-old tap, 4 people tap, you know, like that's going to be a really long time. So, do you guys have a question about time at all?
Nope.
My suggestion to you is have your music cut when you go in, and I'm the worst about this. I get so much more done when it's cut and ready to go when I get in there, and then if I need to make an adjustment, if I'm like, ooh, that is too long, or ooh, that is too short, but sometimes like I'll pick a piece of music that's like 6 minutes long, and if I don't have a really clear plan of where that's going, Kate's been in those rehearsals where I'm like, am I using this part? Am I not? It's not the right way to go. I've learned my lesson. I am so much more efficient and effective, and I don't get distracted, and I feel like it creates a better outcome when I cut my music beforehand. So if you need help cutting music, I'm more than happy to help you cut music. I was having problems with my Apple Music and cutting music, but Katie Spreadberry helped me figure it out over the weekend, and I'm back on track. So, do you guys have any questions about?
I don't think so.
Anybody online? Yes, no, maybe so?
Raise your hand.
Okay.
Speak. Yeah.
All right. Choreography. So, just in general, thinking about the age that your kids are, that's about the time span of attention that they have. So if you have a 8-year-old trio, like they're going to be able to work hard on a certain section for 8 minutes ish. And then you need to move on. If it's not working or whatever, you can always say like, we'll come back to that spot. But if you get really stuck, then sometimes it can just like suck all the energy out of the room. Like try something, like get them up, do like if you feel like energy is waning or whatever, like get up, do a dance party, go outside, like call me and say, hey, we need a donut break and I'll bring donuts up here or whatever, like go have everybody get a lollipop, like find something to do to like re-energize the situation, because it can be hard on us when we feel like there's really low energy learning our stuff. But they don't do it on purpose. They're just kids, and they squirrel or tired. They're just tired. I would say the less you make changes, the better. Now, this is the time to make the changes, but if you make too many changes going into competing, that's where you really get into trouble. Like at a certain point, you need to be like, this is what it is. And you can, the older they are, the more that you can like fuss with it. But if they are younger, when they get nervous, they're going to revert back to the way you first taught it, or the way they learned it the longest. Mm-hmm. I think that's really key. Also, realizing that they are going to probably perform it on an average of how they rehearse it. So if you have never seen that double pirouette clean, if they have never pulled out the triple, if they have never done it, or it very rarely happens, that's what's going to happen on stage. It's very, very rare that there's a unicorn that happens where like they've always done a double and all of a sudden they do a quadruple. Like that hardly ever happens. So setting your expectations and their expectations, and if you aren't happy with how it looks, changing it well before so that a majority of the time that they rehearse and clean, it's the same. And then spacing, as far as like I think one of the very first things I ever choreographed, I had two groups on opposite sides of the stage, and like they danced there for a really long time, and like when I stood back and looked at it for the first time, I was like trying to like, you can't look both directions at the same time. So like thinking of it from far away, like even if you need to record it from the back and then go back and watch it and see like, oh wait, I can't remember whose solo it was, but we were doing it and we realized that they never crossed center. And I was like, that's an issue. So ideally, all of the choreography will encompass all of the stage. There should be formation changes. And again, like at this thing that we went with Julie Kay, she was talking about how like for little tiny guys, like 3 and 4 year olds, they should only change formations like one time. So like as we get into like 7 or 8 year olds, like it can't be like, okay, and then we go here, and then we go there, and then we come, like it needs to be, there need to be formation changes, but it can't be like maybe we'll see.
Yeah.
Do you know what, like that's not gonna work. Like it's too fluid. They need actual like formations. Mm-hmm. And then really keeping an eye out for like negative space. Like there should never be a moment where everybody's off stage. Because in the studio, it doesn't feel like that big of a deal. You're like, well, that person just ran off, and like 1 second later, this person comes back on. But it is an eternity when you are in the audience. So just making sure that you're telling the audience where to look and when, and what is highlighted, and what is, like, if you had, even in like moments, this is the main character and these are the supporting cast, you know? So that you don't have two really big things going on at the same time. Where do I look as an audience member? So trying to keep those things in mind. Transitions, trying to make them as interesting and as cohesive as possible. Making sure that they're dancing through those transitions as much as possible, rather than like, and then we walk 5, 6, 7, 8. Like sometimes that's just the way it is. It ends up in a, I mean, especially the smaller the group gets, the more important I think that cohesive transition, you know, makes a difference. Like you can really tell in a solo when it's like, and then I need to walk over here, you know, the whole thing should be danced. And then music selection, because we have enough group dances and enough solo. My fear last year, I was like, I should collect the music ahead of time and make sure that 2 people are not using the same music before we all set our numbers. So Courtney is reaching out to get music from you guys. Even if, like last year, I started with that garland dance that turned into breaking and entering. Like, I started it. If you were like, this is not going to work, you know, like, I can usually tell right from the beginning, like, this is a bad idea, Jana. And so if you were like, I picked out my music, I sent it to Courtney, I got it approved, I just went in that rehearsal and I like absolutely nothing that happened. The music is too hard for the kids to count, you know, whatever it is with that situation that's not working. If you feel like you need to transition, just call me. I'm not saying you're like locked in for life, you know, but sometimes changes need to happen. But we need to make sure we're not using the same. And with having like some newer choreographers, just making sure that like, I was telling Courtney that like one of the first things I ever choreographed on like 12 to 14-year-olds was Roxanne, like from Moulin Rouge. Like, you don't have to put on the red light. Like, that's not cool. Like, does it have any bad words in it? No. Is it an appropriate subject matter for 12 to 14-year-olds? Absolutely not. So, like, but in my like 19-year-old mind, I was like, this is the coolest song, you know? And the movie was really big at the time, and here we went with the 12 to 14-year-old prostitute song. Like, don't do it. So just making sure that we have a second set of eyes and ears on things, so that we can identify them before you're like knee deep in it. You know, if we're like, hey, this song is okay, but this one verse, if you could use this verse instead of that verse or whatever. Like, I love Dave Matthews Band's, what's the song? Crash Into Me.
But yeah.
Like, it's such a good song. I can't play it anywhere. Like, it is, like, it, you know, I don't think of it as being as dirty as it is.
Yeah, the context.
Yes, it sounds very happy.
Yeah.
It's not. So, okay, costuming. If you guys have an idea of what you want for costumes, the sooner you get that idea to the ladies, that is best. If you find something on Weissman's, generally that is absolutely going to be in budget. They have a couple of like pre-rhinestone things that are like really expensive, but in general, if you find out on Weissman's, it's going to be an okay fit budgeting wise. Kelly is a little more maybe not, you know, like I did the Maybe We'll See costumes from Kelly last year, and like we could make a bra top and the pants work, but I originally had it with a blazer and a bra top and the pants, which I'm glad it didn't work out that way, but that was out of budget.
Yeah.
Those 3 items from Kelly, not gonna happen. Or if you have an idea like that, you're like, I would like a blazer and a pair of pants or something like that, then like sometimes we can do these things from Kelly that we can't find anywhere else, but we get a bra top from Weissman, or, you know, like sometimes we can make some things work. And then September 14th, we are going to the costume sale at P&D. And so if you guys can try to be available on that day, so that if I like text you a picture of something, that you just check your phone every once in a while. Like, yes, I like that. No, I don't. And if you can give us like kind of a base outline, we probably won't order anything from Weissman until after that day. Because if we can find really custom costumes in our budget, that would be what is best. Because I felt bad. Last year, Kira was like, I want an orange lyrical costume. We got to P&D, there was an orange lyrical dress. It was beautiful. We had like tried to message, but we weren't able to get a hold of her, and we bought it, and she came back and she was like, eh. But by then we had gone over budget to get those because we thought they were like a great fit, and so then like ditching them was not an option, which I think she ended up liking them in the end, but there was like that moment where I think it wasn't what she was imagining. So if I can get that thumbs up from you, but I hated to leave them there and then have her be like, man, that was perfect. Like, it's just such a hard, like, and once I pick those costumes up and we put them under our studio name, we have purchased them. So if I pick up all the sizes, and you're not allowed to carry stuff around, so if I collect all the sizes, then I have to either leave them there and let other people get them, or I have to say I'm purchasing those. So that's why it's hard. They just don't mess around. Props. So I'm not a great person to talk about props. Somehow. I mean, Danielle even asked me this year, she was like, are you looking to build like a large scale prop into any of your dances? And I was like, no. And then the other day I was like, if I had a giant turntable, like, and anyway,
But that would be cool.
I know, right? I know. Anyway, I called Ryan and he was like, oh my gosh. So then he talked, anyway.
You talked you out of it?
No, he did not.
Carousel.
We talked about like the way it could work. So I'm actually supposed to call somebody today to see if it's even a possibility.
Yes.
Oh But I also know that whatever it costs to do that, I'm going to have to work that into the costume budget. So a elaborate prop is going to equal a minimal costume because we didn't budget for a prop. And so, like the reason I was maybe able to make Night at the Museum work is because I was using a prop we previously had, and then I split the cost of making the painting and making the costumes amongst the costume budget.
Yeah.
So, just if you have ideas for them, the sooner you get that to us. Number one, so you can start rehearsing with it. I mean, that's the thing with this turntable. Like, it would have to be a right from the very beginning situation. And so I don't know if it's a possibility or not, but I definitely know that's something I shouldn't get finished. Like, I should have had Night at the Museum figured out when I very first started it. And then we wouldn't have had to do like the dress and the whole thing. Right, Kate? Yep. See, I'm learning and growing. So does it mean I'm going to follow my own advice? No. Am I just saying I've been down the really complicated road before and you don't want to go there? Yes. Like, don't do this to yourself. And then the thing that I would say is if you are adding to the prop train, I need your prop help at competition. I mean, if you are an outside choreographer, you know, if you are what we would consider like a guest choreographer, which we don't consider you a guest, we consider you part of the family. But if you're going to be in Massachusetts while we're at competition, then that excuses you. But it is just a lot of work to get those things in and out. And do I think that Night at the Museum was worth it? I do, you know, but I also had some very stressful moments about like how and when and how, you know, who and, you
Trying
know.
to fit that into Century 2 was wild.
It was. Like, we ended up in like the sub basement of Century 2, and anyway. It's not ideal.
Measuring it. Okay, you have to fit it around the symphony because we can't move the symphony.
Yes, and I would say if you're choreographing from YGP, they have some new things this year as far as they're not guaranteeing that they will have anywhere for props backstage, and so I'm going to try to steer away from, and also because one of the reasons we didn't go to YGP finals is we couldn't really figure out how to get that gigantic table to Florida. So just, just trying to, so if you're doing YGP, then that would be my suggestion to you is to nix the props. And also YGP, I was going to do, you remember I had an idea about my mesh people. Do you remember when I made the mesh dancing people? I think that was before your time. So I had an idea about lighting them up and stuff, and I was really into it, and then I got to thinking, and I was like, YGP's not going to let me take the lights down and back up. And I do have a really hard time with that. Like, I think it was Believe would not let me do it. So you just have to be careful if you have, like, an idea like that, come check with me and see if it's even a possibility with those, like, most conventions will do it. I think it's like the in-towns that have a hard time because I think they like set the lights and then no one is there to fix them sometimes. So and then everybody gets paid for choreography outside of like your hourly rate. I want to say that solos are, I will double check on it and send you guys, I meant to have it all together, but it's been not my most cohesive day. I believe that it is $300 for solos and $350 for groups, and then that will be the end of August, because everybody should have gotten their choreography done in that time, and so like that August 30th or whatever. If you will just put on there with no hours associated with it, but in the notes like physical choreography or mini small group lyrical choreography or whatever, then those will be like lump sums in your paycheck. Does that make sense? Okay. And then going forward, so like after those choreography ones are done, then everything going forward that you have a rehearsal with those people, then it is your hourly rate. So that 300, 350 is kind of the like setting fee. Okay.
I have a question. Props, like ones you guys like have already used in the past. Do we have like an inventory of some props?
I think that we probably do.
Okay.
I mean, we have quite a bit.
Okay.
We have like those half round things. We have that whole like stage thing that they used for Vogue. It's like steps. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I remember that now.
I have lots of boxes, like individual boxes.
Just like the black boxes that you
Yes,
can
they're
hold.
a little more rectangle than square, but I have a fair amount of them.
Okay.
I also have like a little podium looking thing, like it's like got a thing and then like 2 stairs and then down. Does that make sense? I mean, I've got a laundry cart. I've got brooms. I've got, I mean, like from Annie. You know what I'm talking about? Like I think there was a hip hop trio that had like a janitor's cart.
Yeah,
with it.
Quincy's.
Yeah. I mean, like there. So maybe I could get like a list for you guys. I did just
so we can
sell all of the desks because
I don't.
I don't blame
Sorry.
you.
they are so
works.
big and they just take up a ton of space. And so I also have a picture frame
Oh.
in case you're interested. I think we have some benches.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. We did throw away the chicken wire mesh people that I made before.
Did?
I did.
You could have used that on Halloween.
I know, that's what I told Ryan, and he
You
was
said
like,
no?
"Your stuff
Veto?
freaks me out."
Oh.
Like I wanted to hang them from the trees, and he was
Yes.
like, "No."
You're just dancing.
I know.
You're
That's what
not
I said.
Hanging.
So I have a man one that I like cropped in a tree out by the pool area, and Ryan was like, "Absolutely not." And so now it sits on this little bench that's out there. And
I mean, you guys don't have an HOA or something. So
No.
like, what's the
no,
problem?
he just doesn't want me to be like the crazy lady on the block. Like she's got all the weird like
Come on.
Chicken wire people.
yeah, chicken wire people hanging from the fence or from the tree.
Just known as
I was
the
like, we
chicken
could put
wire
floodlights
woman.
underneath them and stuff, and he was like, absolutely
I'm
not.
so upset.
I know.
I'm sad.
So we have to get Mary Jo was the one who made them, so we have to get her to
Yeah.
make some before she.
Yeah.
Carissa.
Oh. I was like,
no,
what?
no.
What is this? Do you know something I don't?
No, Mary Jo's not kicking off. Not that I know of, but Mary Jo, I know you're dying, but I need you to make me a chicken wire person.
I was doing
Yeah, not what I meant.
Just before her daughter leaves.
I was like,
Yeah, just before, like,
she?
you know, while I still got a little leverage. Mary Jo, you want to make me a chicken wire person?
That's funny.
So anyway, okay. So she's been collecting music.
Oh yeah, I have.
So, and then Jenny's running it through the, like, does this make Jenny uncomfortable filter, which I think is fantastic.
I love that.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome.
My idea, I already know.
Okay.
I plan on cutting it, but my idea for the solo that I'm doing does have one naughty word in it. It's
Okay.
just one, and I plan on cutting it out.
Okay,
So
great.
Just throwing it out there right now that
Tell
I already
us
know
the
about
naughty
it.
word.
Listen.
I'm not gonna say it out loud. There's children here.
Listen, I
adults now.
sent some to Courtney that I was like, hey, watch out. After like 2
Watch
minutes and 40 seconds, there's like a bomb that drops. So
Hey, we were sitting here. You're listening to music.
I was listening to music. So you know that playlist that I sent? So that playlist that I sent you guys that has like 88 songs on it or whatever,
Yeah, wow.
it is cut down from the 578 songs that I had Shazammed this year. No, it was 122 or something like that. Anyway, so then I was like going through them one by one, and there were some real, like, even this one was about the Tea Party, and I didn't hear it when I saw it on stage, but then I like listened to it while we were sitting here, and it was nasty. It was. Do you remember? It was like.
It's like that one trio from last year where it was talking about.
Yes.
Remember what?
Penises.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. What? And it was like a trio, and it was like little girls. They were like 10, and it was like.
Let me back it up.
Yeah, like
I was
open my
like,
legs and things like that. And I was like, Jenna, do you hear what they're doing? My jaw was dropped. I literally, and then I saw it again at a different competition. I was like, ooh,
Yes.
We're still doing this?
Well, and just in
Top
regards
hits.
to like sexiness in general, I want everybody to feel comfortable in their own skin. I want them to feel strong and empowered and capable and all of those things. I try not to use sexy, and one of the things that Ray said to me one time, well, I heard him say it to a class, and it's like always stuck in my head, like, you can do that move but not with that look on your face, or you can do that move but not in that outfit, or not on that angle, or whatever. Like, so much of it is like, I don't mind kids showing their midriff if like their arms are covered or they have like a long pants on or something like that. Like, it's got to be a balance of like, it can't be like a bra top and briefs and like the back is completely out of the bra. You like, there has to be like a taste level that comes in to keep it feeling like not exploitative.
Yes.
I don't want girls to feel like the way that they get positive attention is by their body, but by their talent.
Yes.
You know, like by their strength, by what they can achieve, all that kind of stuff. The other thing that I would say is that sticks with me that Mark Meismer said in the very last class I took from him is he said, I don't know that you can't do something until you show me. And so sometimes when we are looking at something, we're like, you know, them doing a double and like stepping clean out of it is so much more effective than you showing me that we don't have a consistent triple pirouette yet. And so just keeping that in mind when you're looking at it, like me looking through that lens, it's almost there, but it's not ready for stage yet. And so that's where it becomes hard, because there are things that when you teach it in August, they can't do. But to me, that cutting line is by the time we get to like those last December ones, those cleanups, if it has not markedly improved, it's not going to get 50% better from there. So just kind of keeping an eye on things. And also, like, I used to have little sections and dances that bugged me, and I would be like, I'll get to that later, you know. And so every rehearsal I would start at the very beginning, and I would clean, and I would end up cleaning things that I'd already cleaned before, and I'd never get to the spot that bugged me and all this other stuff. So last year I tried something different. I would write down the places that bugged me, and I would address those first. And each time it got a little bit less of things that bugged me, you know. And then I was also a little bit more of a stickler of like, we're not going back over this. We have already cleaned this part. You need to pull it together. You're wasting everybody's time. And then usually now, I mean, that's a conversation that's a little easier had with the seniors than with the minis. You know, the minis are like, what do you mean pull it together? Like, where's my mom?
It's cleaning.
So for the little guys, if you feel like you need incentives for things, like if you are like want to have a sticker chart for like every time they fix something that you ask them to, they get to put a sticker on their chart or whatever. If you want me to have like candy that you give to them at the end of a really great rehearsal, if you're like, hey, these kids have worked really hard and I'm starting to lose them, could we have a cookie party at the end of the next rehearsal? Then like I'll have the cookies here, or I'll give you a budget to go whatever. Like offer them a pizza party if they do really well at competition and Bryn remembers to get on her desk or whatever. Like whatever you need to do within reason. Like we're not taking anybody to Disney World or anything like that, you know. And do not offer a sleepover, because I did that one year and then I didn't hold up on it because of like all the things that changed, and like kids are still like, you owe us a sleepover, and I'm like,
Not anymore, I don't.
Jana is too old to sleep on a mat here. So, yes.
There was one other thing that you wanted to touch on that we didn't put on there, was your final say.
Oh, yes. So, here's the thing is that I really feel like I have sometimes multiple jobs at the studio. I feel like providing teaching opportunities and choreographing opportunities and all that kind of stuff kind of like fills our like artistic cup, you know. But also the other part of my job is making sure that we are giving the kids the best foot forward and the best possibilities out there. And so sometimes that means like me coming in and going, do you think that's working? I don't know that that's gonna work. I don't know that, what if we did this or what if we did that? And it just has to come down that I have like the final say on some of those things. Even if a guest choreographer were to come in, we've had conversations in the office that like, we have a person named Kylie James, her class was amazing. Her choreography in that class, she could come in and it could really bomb. And in that case, I would just start over again. you know, or I would reach out and say, we're really struggling with some things and I need to tweak these things. Is that okay with you? You know, I need to have that conversation. If it's someone else's choreography that you are cleaning, I would not change it without talking to me or that person. Like, say that I end up cleaning, I'm not cleaning obvious hip hop dance, but just say I did. And like I have it 1 week because she needed to be somewhere else, and then she comes back and there's like a whole 8 count that changed and no conversation. People are gonna be butthurt. Like, so we just need to communicate with each other. Like, if Lindsay has my contemporary and she's like, this is not working, I don't know what to do, and I'm like, yeah, I don't know what I was thinking, it looks bad, and then we like come up with a plan to fix that part, you know. But us having that conversation rather than me coming into the next rehearsal and going, is something different?
Yeah.
You know, like I've even gone into a rehearsal before and somebody had changed something, and it may not have been their favorite part, but it was my favorite part of that dance. And so then it just becomes a little bit more about personal taste than like truly like what is going to do well for the kids. So you just kind of have to trust me. And I really am on your side. I'm not trying to come in and micromanage. The last thing I want to do is like choreograph more stuff. But I just have to keep an eye on what is best for the kids. So, are we all good with that? Does anybody have any questions?
Where's this thing with all the music you said?
Oh, just submit it to me.
She has a spreadsheet.
You sent out music?
Oh, yes, I sent out a playlist. I may not have sent it to you because I knew you had your music.
Oh, okay.
I think.
Do you know what I mean? But I'll send it to you.
I'm so interested.
Yeah, but I'll send it to you. And I'm also trying to make playlists for different things, for like jazz class playlists and lyrical playlists and tap playlists and stuff, just to like, they were talking about the importance of like keeping things fresh and like fun. And so like all of us starting off with like new music and new ideas and stuff, I think would be really helpful.
Yes.
So, I mean, you can never have too much music. So the guy next to me on the plane was talking about like how much music he had and how crazy it was, and he was like, I've got like over 200 songs in my, and I was like,
Yes. Cool.
Sir,
That's why I
One
got
sitting.
Yep. I'm gonna tell you, I have won this competition
Yeah, you don't want to
by a lot. So there's no such good thing as too much music. So I really appreciate you guys, and hopefully this felt helpful. Like, I've wanted to do it the last couple of years, but it just always feels like we're in a fast forward situation. So, you know, I never want you guys to be like, well, I would have really liked to know that I could have gone up to 3 minutes. I had no idea how long it should be, and so I cut it at 2:20 because I had no idea. So,
Great.
any other questions? Okay.